2, 1, 2. What's up? What's up? What's up? One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh man, I don't hear anything. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
The Civil Rights Acts of 1968, Martin Luther King was not fighting for black rights. He was fighting for Indian rights. It's labeled on the Indian Civil Rights Act, Indian Bills of Rights Act, the Free Housing Act. Because you know why? We didn't want to go to reservations. Like the Native Americans, the fake Asians, they put them on the reservations. You see what I say? Housing Right Acts. They sent the motherfucking Indians to the projects. That was our reservations. You better learn something today. You're going to learn today. You're going to learn to start playing with our people's history, man. We've been through too much for people to be lying on us. It's us that went through this shit. It's us. It's nobody else. It's us.
Facts.
If y'all don't know this book, you can screenshot it. It comes from the Library of Congress. And this was called Deportation in America, an inquiry into the nature and results of slaveholding systems in the United States. Because slaves don't mean what you think it means. Watch this. The relation of master and slave, like most other kinds of despotism, first of all, you gotta know what despotism is. It's an experiment. When these evil people do these things to us, they have to write them down because it's despotism. You don't know what that is. Look it up. The relations of master and slave, like most other kinds of despotism, has its origins in war. So the only how you ever get master and slave, you gotta go to war. By the confessions of his warmest defenders, slavery is at its best a substitute for homicide.
All right, listen. I'm not here to argue with nobody. I'm here to ask one question. Why does the story of slaves and Indians never fully add up? That's it. That's what we're trying to figure out.
All right. So they just unaliving people for no fucking reason at this point. Savages take no prisoners, and those they do take, they first torture, then devour. Delectable Negroes, they was eating us in slavery. But I don't know if y'all knew that or not. But yes, they was eating us. But when the arts of life have made some progress, the value of labor began to be understood. It is presently discovered that to eat prisoners is not the most profitable use to which they can be put. So accordingly, their lives are spared, and they are compared to labor for the benefit of their captors. Such is the origins of slavery. It was formerly a practice in America to sell as slaves. So the people wasn't slaves. To sell as slaves such Indian prisoners that was captured during the frequent war raids with the Aboriginal inhabitants, who were the only people slaves in America. If these are the native people, why they going to Indian training school? Who they trying to copy? Know your history and stop erasing our history. This is almost the same as you're going to the army to train to be a soldier because you don't know shit about being a soldier because they was brought from fucking Asia to America to Ellis Island to take our place because we the real Indians, like I just read to you. They only called the Indians in the war raids because they was prisoners of war. We were slaves. Wouldn't it be slave camps around here? Why is prisons around here? Because we are prisoners of war. And these are the fake Asian immigrants that came to take our place. You're talking to a chief that know the truth. Know your history. Stop mixing this African stuff in with us. That's why Native American names didn't get core until 1960, after Civil War. That's when they came out. They was the colonizers. They was helping the Europeans capture us. They are the slave patrol.
Is that as far as you can go?
If my people go way back to the 1600s, 1680s, what are you talking about? I thought they had slave trades in 1619.
Hold on. What am I looking at here?
So that means if they was here in 1680, their grandparents go back to 1500s. What are you talking about? Before this is pre-colonial. Go back to the 1400s. What you still not gonna believe it. Okay, so what's proving to you anything? You're still gonna be like, well, it was something back in 1000 BC. If the first people came to America was the Spaniard and Portuguese came to enslave us, who the hell taught us English? Because they're Spanish. It's a known fact that Spain and Portuguese came to America. It's a known fact they came here first. And you see what it says on here? Indian citizen. The color is a Negro. He's a black Indian. We got documents where all my people got checked Indian citizens on all my paperwork. So I know who I am. And all this is in the National Archives. See, like all the information. I just went to 1870 right quick. You have to understand that to be indigenous to the land, your people would be in the National Archives. This is where you find the information. This is how you know that you're indigenous. They won't put immigrants in the National Archives. If you guys still want to be colonized on that level, why do y'all come and bother us when we kick a non-indigenous shit? So if you want to be an African slave,
Who is these people? I don't know.
go hang with the African slaves, and then y'all could kumbaya. Don't come to us with the BS, because I'm kicking this shit to my people that we already know we locked in. We are growing.
Okay.
You want to be black? Guess what? That don't tie you to this land. Y'all keep minding American Indian business. This has nothing to do with y'all. This is Europeans coming over asking these people who's the head of the house and how much land they own. So if these people are slaves, how the hell they own land before the fucking Europeans? The black people that y'all call black, which is are the Indians, are the only people that own America. They the only people that got the land patents and the deeds of America. Nobody else has. And then if you see the census, it says place of birth, naming state, territory, U.S., or country, or foreign birth. All of my family comes from Florida and Georgia area, native born to this land, and they have always been here. They're asking these people who's head of the house and who owns this land, because later on, that's how they took it. You gotta understand, nobody else have land patents to this land besides the so-called black people that was colonized, that was reclassified from the 1924 Integrity Act by Walter Plecker, that worked for vital statistics. He was the head of all health departments. So he was changing our shit on our birth certificate to Negro. When these people came to this land, they was asking these people who they are. That's why they had to write this shit down. And when you look at it, these are the original people of this land, the so-called black people.
Whoa. Who's stealing whose identity? What the fuck? They put this in the news? They put this in the news. Oh, this is in New York.
Truthfully honest, in the Black Laws Dictionary, black means to be pale. Because this is only how they stole the land, when they recognized who owned the land. Through the fucking census. This is how they got the names. Native Americans don't own the land. I can show you the law right now. Leslie versus McIntosh. Clearly.
Hold on. We saying Tesla was black? Is that what you trying to say? Hold on, man.
This is how they got the names. Native Americans don't own the land. I can show you the law.
Nikola Tesla. That is Nikola Tesla. That nigga look like he a half breed. Like he mixed or something.
Oh, right now, Leslie versus McIntosh clearly says the land that's used by the Native Americans, which are the Asian I just showed you, went to Indian training school. The land that they're owning with the casinos, they don't own is owned by the United States government. They're just renting and using it out because Native Americans can't own no land because they're immigrants. Just like Africans, when they come here, they can't own no land because they're immigrants. Just like everybody else, the Mexicans, the Spanish, they can't own this land because they're immigrants. The only people that's not immigrants is the so-called Black Americans. Why you think they're not getting deported? Why you think the Native Americans getting deported right now by ICE? Because they're not indigenous to this land. This is the reason why we can't be deported. Because if you don't know or not, we the only ones with a birth certificate. Everybody else got tribal cards and other green cards and visas to be on this land. We the only ones with the real live birth certificates. I just want to show y'all this book for y'all that didn't believe me that they was eating us during slavery. Right, YTs definitely should be getting deported. They're the first one. Homoeroticism? What? Oh my God. Come on, man.
What is homoerecticism? What the fuck is that? I want to know what that is too. I hate listening to something I don't know what it means.
Homoeroticism means romantic or sexual feelings, attraction, or vibe between people of the same sex, usually used for men, but it can be any same sex situation. It can show up as sexual tension, flirting, intense admiration, touching or closeness that feels more than just friends, art or scenes that hint at same sex desire without saying it straight. It doesn't automatically mean somebody is gay. It's more about the energy or suggestion in the moment, the scene, or the relationship.
What the? Hold them up, man.
That's basically like raping. Come on, man. U.S. slave culture, these people are eating us. You gotta know the truth, man.
They don't care
And this the
because
same
they are
book. They got Nat Turner and they say they had 8 Nat Turner.
They don't want to understand they're our ops. Recognize an op when you see one and hear one and move accordingly.
White people was the slaves. We was never the slaves. White cargo, go read it. You will find out who they brought over here to America for real. They came from Africa. It was the whites. That's why they on boats. If you think about it, Europe is part of Africa. During the born, they brought over here as slaves picking cotton.
Hold on. So you need to tell me that trying to say that the YT was the slaves, and they came over here and said, "Hell no, we ain't gonna be slaves. We gonna swap with them people." Is that what this video's? Hold on, I don't. Let's keep looking.
I got all these pictures of the white people in the fields picking cotton. So you got the story all wrong. Asian slaves in colonial Mexico, Chinos to Indians. This is how they went to Indian training school. This is when they turned to Indians. Because they got packed up by the Spanish people, the Asians. Everybody keep talking about the transatlantic slave trade. It's a damn lie. It's not even called that. You're talking about the Middle Passage. So tell me how two slave trades.
The Atlantic slave trade was the Middle Passage. What did he mean by that?
Yeah, when somebody says Atlantic slavery was the Middle Passage, they mean this. Transatlantic slavery equals the whole system, but the Middle Passage was the most infamous part of it. The forced boat trip across the Atlantic where enslaved Africans were shipped to the Americas. Quick breakdown. Simple. Transatlantic slave trade had 3 parts. 1. Africa, people captured, sold, and forced onto ships. 2. Middle Passage, the ocean crossing to the Americas, the worst part. 3. Americas, people sold into slavery and forced to work. So when he says that, he's basically saying, open quote, the transatlantic slave system is defined by that brutal ocean crossing. Close quote. If you tell me who said it or the exact sentence, I'll translate it even cleaner to what he
This
really
happened
meant
at the
in
same
context.
time.
And I got it,
So did
Playboy.
y'all ever learn in school about the Trans-Pacific slave trade? Primarily run
Pacific slave trade. Oh shit! I did not know this.
Yeah, the Pacific slave trade is real, but it's not the same story as the Atlantic Middle Passage. What Pacific slave trade usually means. It can refer to forced labor and trafficking across the Pacific, mainly involving 1. Chinese coolie labor, 1800s. Millions of Chinese workers were recruited or coerced into contracts and sent to places like Cuba, Peru, Hawaii, California, Southeast Asia. A lot of it was basically slavery in disguise. Debt, abuse, no freedom. Number 2, Indian indentured labor, also 1800s. Large numbers of Indians were transported for plantation labor too. Fiji, Malaya, Southeast Asia. Caribbean too, not only Pacific. 3, blackbirding, Pacific Islands. This is the big one.
by the Spanish from the 16th century to the 18th century. Don't that sound familiar? Ain't at the same time the transatlantic slave trade supposed to be happening? Because the real truth is, what happened? They forcibly enslaved the people of Asia, Philippines, India, East, South Asia, in Africa, across the Pacific to Mexico. Yeah, they lie to you, but I'll pull up a cruise fare right now. You can't even catch a fucking cruise from Africa to America right now in 2025.
Still can't take a boat.
So how the hell
over
we
here
came from Africa? People, let me show you the 12.5 million people that came over here. So it was 12.5 million white servitude slaves that came to America.
Was it 12 million white slaves came to America? They said no. He's saying what you saying, homeboy. That's the swap right there. No, they said no, nigga. It was Africans, nigga. We brought 12 million Africans over here. Chat, chat, ChatGPT said 12 million Africans, not whites. Hold on, I'm gonna chart it.
No, that's not true. There were not 12 million white slaves brought to America. What is true? Numbers people mix up. About 12 to 12.5 million Africans were transported across the Atlantic in the transatlantic slave trade, Middle Passage. That's the real 12 million number. Where the white slaves confusion comes from. Some Europeans did come as forced labor, mainly indentured servants, contracts, usually 4 to 7 years. Convicts sent to colonies, prisoners of war. But that is not the same as chattel slavery. And it wasn't 12 million. If you tell me who said the 12 million white slaves line, I'll break down exactly what they're mixing up.
How about you just tell me how many white slaves came then?
Straight answer. There isn't a real white slave number like that because Europeans weren't shipped to America under race-based, lifelong chattel slavery the way Africans were. But if you mean white people who came as forced labor, here are the best ballpark numbers historians use. Indentured servants, mostly English, Irish, Scottish. About 300,000 to 500,000 came to the American colonies, 1600s to 1700s, as indentured servants. British convicts sent to America. About 50,000.
See, I don't think it's weird that they don't want to call them slaves, but that's exactly what they was. You could call us chattel slavery, yes, put the chattel in front of it, but you can also call what they were slaves, right? I,
Because ain't it the same number they said about the transatlantic slave trade? Didn't they say 12.5 million Africans came to America? Don't y'all find this ironic? Don't this sound like reverse roles? Somebody is lying. If they came on boats, all these people are immigrants. So who own America again? Okay then. The so-called Black Americans, who they label as Black Americans, is really the Aboriginal inhabitants, who's really the indigenous Indians. And you can tell because on every census form, you know what they put by it? Inhabitants. If you know what inhabitants mean, it means they sprung from the earth. They wasn't brought from nowhere. These are all the places you can look up these, all the information about the Papal bulls. It was a European legal authorization. And you see, all this come from the Pontifex, the Catera, all this stuff is hidden in the Vatican. And as you see, they got all the records. I'm going to show you something. They got all the records hidden these. You can look up these books. And this is the year that they sent the Papal bulls to these lands. But let me show you something. See, 1493? You see right here? See right here, the Pope Nicholas authorized enslavement of Saracens. That's what old boy was just talking about, and pagan and unbelievers. So what they was doing, the Pope was sending out the Spanish and the Romans to the lands. So whoever wasn't a Christian, that's who they was unaliving and taking their lands from. So slavery don't mean what y'all think it means. It comes from Rome. And look what it say: granted portal perpetual rights to seize land and enslave people. This is where all the information is coming from. The Pontifex, the Catera, these are the Catholic, it was backed by the Catholic Church. It's called the Church Decrees, which equals the Papal Bulls. This is why they was going out taking over people's land. So this is why I'm trying to tell you, when they came to America, they wasn't coming with no slaves, they was coming for war. It don't make sense to bring no slaves to America if you already colonized that land. And these all the documents, you can go look up on them. This is all the documents. The indigenous slave trade. This is called the Indian slave trade that happened right here. You can go look up Alkebulan. This is a book called the Indian slave trade. That's the author right there.
What do you know about the Indian slave trade?
Yeah, the Indian slave trade was real, and it's a part of American history. A lot of people don't get taught. When people say Indian slave trade, they usually mean indigenous people, Native Americans, being enslaved in North America and the Caribbean. Here's the clean breakdown. 1. Indigenous slavery happened before Africans became the main target. In the early colonies, Europeans enslaved native people because they were already here and easier to capture in war's raids. They were forced into plantation labor, domestic labor, mining, servitude. That was basically slavery. Number 2, it was big in the South, Carolinas especially. One of the largest indigenous slave trades was driven by English colonists in the Carolinas in the late 1600s, early 1700s. They used raids, alliances with certain tribes against others, trading captives for guns, goods. A lot of captives were shipped out through ports like Charleston. Number 3, many enslaved native people were exported out of
Indian slave trade that happened in America when they came over here. And Andre Resendez, that's the author of the book, The Other Slavery, and Roxanne Dunbar, and Indigenous People History of United States. It's talking about us, the Black Indians. South Carolina Assembly records from 1670 to the 1700s. Laws regulating the sale of Indian slaves. Who the only person was sold in America? As slaves, man. Thank you. These all the places. Look, Barbados shipping manifest listing Indian Negroes export from the Carolinas. How the Indian slave trade happened? They would go to South Carolina, Virginia, and they would send those Indians to the islands, and then they would take the Indians from Florida to California, California to Mississippi, Mississippi to Oklahoma. So they was selling us as slaves in our own homeland.
Yes.
And if you don't believe me, all this comes from New England probate records. You can look all this up in the British National Archives. When you leave, type this shit in. South Carolina Assembly records, because they got all those records right here in America. And the National Archives of who the so-called Black people is, they was Indian, supposed to be not slaves, but it was prisoners of war. And it's us, because they reclassified our names to detach us from the land, because they was coming to take us from the land. See? They came to Florida. See, the Yamasee War, 1715, the Spanish slave raid. It was a raid. See, Spanish missions doubled as labor camps, indigenous people forced into Christianity or be enslaved. Survivors sold and or relocated. That's how they did all around America. They already set up slave camps. So that's why when they came to America, they were sending us over there to work in their sugar fields, their gold mines, and all those other slave camps they already had set up. Because those lands were already occupied and colonized. So why would they need to bring any fucking Africans to America for? They don't own no land. So the only Africans they brought was the fucking missionaries to help them Christianize us.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Most y'all around here playing around with this knowledge like it don't matter.
Hold the fuck on. Weak, Negroes, colored, American, Moorish American, American Negro.
Cause you're right. Oh, okay, I'm African. I don't care what nobody say. You're the reason why they're moving the goalposts. Y'all the reason why we cannot get this land back, cause y'all keep claiming some bullshit that we're not. Everybody in our business trying to get a piece of our pie. That's the fucking problem. That and this is what really kills me when y'all keep saying the word Africa. That land ain't even called Africa.
Facts.
Nigeria didn't even get its name to 1847. 1897. That's after the Civil War. How the hell you in Nigeria? How can you be African
That's
when
crazy.
the real name of that place is called Alkebulan?
Alkebulan. Alkebulan.
And you see at the
Alkebulan. Ooh, my bad.
Alkebulan is a name you'll hear people use as the original ancient name for Africa. What it usually means online. A lot of people say it means something like Mother of Mankind, Garden of Eden, Land of the Blacks, the First Continent, and it's used as a pro-Black Pan-African way to call Africa by a name that isn't European. The honest history part. It is used today in Pan-African spaces and Afrocentric circles. But most historians don't agree that Alkebulan was the universal ancient name for Africa, or that it was widely used across the continent historically. Africa had many names depending on the people's language region. Kemet, Egypt terms, Arabic terms, Greek Roman terms, local nation names, etc. So Alkebulan is more like a modern reclaimed names idea than a verified continent-wide ancient official name. Why it matters culturally. People use Alkebulan to say, open quote, we don't have to accept names given to us by outsiders, close quote. That part is real. If you want, I can also give you a short voiceover script explaining Alkebulan without sounding like Wikipedia.
bottom, the name of Africa itself originated for the who? Greeks and the Romans, because they was colonized. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Y'all don't even understand what the hell y'all be talking about. So every time you yell out Africa, that's a Greek, because they overtook them people and reclassified them as fucking Africans. because they're really from that place called Alkebulans. These people are really Alkebulans. They're not even fucking African. Just like they try to do to us. We are Indians, so they came to America and then called us black. They called us African American. They reclassified us. Them people ain't have no land. So they was coming to unalive people who wasn't Christians, take their land, reclassify them, and relocate them. We're all running around screaming, Africa, Africa, Africa. That's a damn colonized name. This is why my people can't get their land back, because y'all around here playing and spreading colonial lies. Just making up shit. When y'all know damn well the only people who were slaves in America was us. That ain't y'all. That ain't y'all. You see all the fucking evidence. Everybody in the world telling you who we are. The British told you, the French told you, Chinese people telling you, Asians people telling you, everybody in the world telling y'all that we are the original Indians of America. Y'all still sitting up, well, I don't see it. But we need y'all to wake up, but guess what? Some of y'all can't be helped. They know y'all not the same. And then I can pull up scientifically now that the American Indians, the so-called blacks, and Africans have different DNA structures, different genomes and DNA sequences. We're not even the same people.
Lord, run that back.
They know y'all not the same. And then I can pull up scientifically now that the American Indians, the so-called blacks, and Africans have different DNA structures, different genomes and DNA sequences.
West African, African American. You can definitely tell an American black from any African. I know they like to say we look alike, but we don't. We don't.
We're not even the same people. I can go to another expert in Colonial's journal when he first pulled up the people he's seen. And guess what he said? They was wearing dreadlocks. Didn't I just tell you that dreadlocks is only indigenous to America?
Bro, we can't own hairstyles, bro. Everybody got hair, bro. We can't own the hairstyle, bro.
Who the people that still rock dreadlocks to this day? Us. Nobody else. And then guess what? We get it from our ancient ancestors. Because the Aztec wore the dreads as well. All Indian tribes wore dreads as well. Let me show you a picture. Gold teeth is indigenous Indian culture if you didn't know it. Yeah. You're going to learn today, and all this originated in America, not Africa. You ain't never see Africa wear gold teeth, long dreads, none of that unless they cosplaying.
They want to be us so bad. This is scary. What they won't do to us, to be us.
These are the people they found when they came to America. Right here. Gold crowns, gold rings, gold necklaces, gold teeth, as you see in his mouth, gold medallions. So the whole time, these people is not woke. So when y'all be seeing these black rappers with gold teeth and gold necklaces, and y'all wonder why? Because they're still living out their Indian culture and don't even know it consciously. I'll show you again. Gold teeth is only indigenous to America. I'll show you right now. And guess who wore gold teeth again? The Aztecs, the Indians. And who's still rocking it to this day? Us. Think about it, man. I'm showing you every clue from every angle. I don't know how you want to do it. I'm showing you geographically, featuresly, hairly, teethly, code. I'm showing you everything. You ain't got to believe. I'm not in your life trying to tell you who you is. I'm just letting you know I'm here to wake up my people with the truth. We ain't part of that colonial bullshit. I only tell the truth on this live. That's it.
Shooting dice is an Indian culture.
You can come. But think about that, guys. Why would you need recognition from your killer? That don't make no sense, does it? The same people that enslaved you, giving you tribal recognition? How dumb does that sound? So you can understand that I want us to start saying, even insinuate that we was ever slaves, because we come from a rich history, never slaves. We were enslaved, or they tried to enslave. You deal with us? It's a big difference. How in the fuck can we be slaves when Benjamin Banneker wrote the almanac of the world? Make it make sense. American-born Indian right here in your face, he mapped out the whole planet. But he a slave? Y'all got to start with this bullshit narrative, man, about our people. So how can we be a slave? And he wrote an almanac in 1795. You see the dreads coming out the back? Those are our ancient significations that we are not Africans, because dreads are only indigenous to the Americas. But I'm going to show y'all the first statue of Florida. Why is that a black Indian right there? Help me understand. How come we own the statues of this land? How? You see the you see the dreads coming out the back? The Civil Rights Acts of 1968, Martin Luther King was not fighting for black rights. He was fighting for Indian rights. It's labeled on the Indian Civil Rights Act, Indian Bills of Rights Act.
I don't know, man. I mean, I do know. That's why I played it. But what y'all think about that, man?